Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the scenes from the hit HBO show that still have our jaws on the ground.
New York is over. O-V-E-R. Over.
Number 10, Aidan and Mr. Big's mud fight, Bells of the Balls. Carrie Bradshaw makes the incredibly unwise decision to invite Mr. Big to her current boyfriend's house to talk.
Did I hear the phone ring?
Uh-huh.
Who was it?
It was Batman. I invited him up.
Well, of course, Aidan isn't pleased. When Carrie insists they play nice, it also doesn't go so well.
We're middle-aged men. We don't make friends. We have nothing in common.
You have me in common. And if you and Aidan don't become at least a little friendly, I'm not going to be able to stay in your life.
Testosterone takes over. Soon the two are wrestling in the mud. While they get over their differences, it hardly seems worth it in the end.
Watch it, man. That was a little hard. That wasn't that hard.
Why not just have a nice sit-down dinner? Why does the ex Carrie's supposedly over and her boyfriend have to be in each other's orbits at all? It was one of those times where it was really hard to figure out what Carrie actually thought would happen.
Stop it! You're middle-aged!
Number 9, Post-it note breakup. The post-it always sticks twice. Carrie sees her share of suitors and breakups, but the end of her relationship with Berger has to be among the most infamous. How she handles the iconic post-it note breakup is equally shocking.
Berger broke up with me on a Post-it.
On a Post-it?
Yep. Read it and weep, my friends.
I'm sorry, I can't. Don't hate me.
Carrie trounces all over Charlotte's engagement announcement at lunch. Yeah, it's awful to be broken up with in such a heartless way, and Berger's awful for doing it.
Oh, it's never a complete waste of time. I mean, even in the worst relationship, you always learn something.
You might not want to say that to a woman carrying a loaded Post-it.
However, her carrying on at lunch and literally covering Charlotte's ring with the post-it note is easy fodder for all the Carrie haters. In no one else's world is a post-it note more important than your friend getting married.
And I never would have met my divorce lawyer, Harry, and I wouldn't be engaged now.
Uh-huh. Paper covers rock.
Number 9, Marathon Man. Baby, talk is cheap. There's a reason this show had to be on cable network. Case in point, this season 4 episode.
Meanwhile, Miranda's run led to wanna come up for coffee, which led to sex, which led her to believe that Marathon Man could be more than a running buddy.
Sexual preferences and quirks were rarely off the table at the Core 4's lunches.
Be specific. You mean the cheeks or...
It was more localized than that.
However, Miranda finds her comfort tested by a man she meets while training for the marathon. Though he seems like a great match at first, his particular tastes lead to more off-color discussion than usual.
And I thought it was weird. It's weird, right? I mean, are we doing this now?
Well, if the guy's willing, why not?
Anyone other than Samantha?
The ensuing conversation about navigating pleasure and personal boundaries is one of the show's more refreshing, funny, and honest conversations about the subject of sex, and that's saying something.
I bet there's one loudmouth guy who found some woman who loved it and told everybody, women love this. Who is this guy? Who's the woman who loved it?
Don't knock it until you try it.
Bingo.
Number 7, Carrie gets mugged. What goes around comes around. It's New York. It's actually kind of surprising it took Carrie Bradshaw 3 whole seasons to get mugged.
Oh, excuse me, sir. I know this sounds ridiculous, but can you tell me which way is West Broadway?
Give me your bag.
What?
Your bag.
It's a baguette.
But when it finally did happen, like real life, it was completely unexpected. A stranger Carrie asks for directions turns out to be an armed robber who pulls a gun on her.
These guys weren't just after money anymore. They were after fashion.
Please, sir, they're my favorite pair. I got them half price at a sample sale.
The scene was a notable break from the show's characteristically romantic perspective of the city, even with all its eccentricities and flaws. The robber wants everything, from her purse to her jewelry to her favorite pair of Manolo Blahniks. This show is truly amazing. Even the muggers have great taste.
And then he said, "Give me your Manolo Blahniks," which I thought was a joke. And the next thing I know, I am barefoot on a New York City sidewalk in the middle of summer.
Number 6. Samantha's neighbours. Cock-a-doodle-doo. In this infamous episode, Samantha's new neighbours turn out to be a group of transgender sex workers whose antics in the street keep her up at night.
As much as I respect a woman's right for a little something-something with certain New Jersey gentlemen, I have a request. I have a very early business meeting.
The moment she drops a transphobic slur casually at the lunch table is pretty surprising, even for a character who's known for pushing the boundaries. Full of dehumanizing characterizations, interesting wordplay, and disrespectful commentary by Carrie, the episode is definitely of a different era.
She had a date with destiny. China and Joe. No E.
Take this, ladies!
At least it ends with the characters all making peace. As Sex and the City episodes go, it's actually one of the more uplifting endings, even if it is cringeworthy by today's standards.
I want you to give me a twirl and a twirl.
I need to see you spin first, sister. Is that good enough?
Number 5. Samantha's cancer diagnosis. The ick factor. Samantha Jones could have a list of shocking moments all on her own. It's actually more shocking when she doesn't do something shocking. In a season 6 episode, she goes for a breast implant consultation and walks away with a cancer diagnosis.
Okay, but it's not serious, right?
Well, it's probably just a cyst, but we want to be absolutely sure. I'd like you to have it looked at as soon as possible, okay?
Of the 4 main women, Samantha was typically the most vivacious and spirited, the one who seemed unstoppable. Suddenly dropping the bomb of cancer on her was a narrative left hook.
I'm going to give you all the information, and I don't want you to get upset or start worrying. And the only reason I'm telling you now and not later is I didn't want to accidentally blurt out, I have cancer in the middle of Miranda's wedding.
It set the stage to explore her character's vulnerability and attempts to stay true to the fearless woman she always was. It was one of the final season's biggest and best storylines.
You have breast cancer?
Hey, no tears. Miranda, I expected more from you.
Number 4, Miranda chokes on takeout. 4 women and a funeral. Being single and alone in a new apartment starts to wear on the fiercely independent Miranda in this season 2 episode.
And I kept thinking when they found me, I would forever be the dead girl who watched bad TV.
Well, why didn't you call me?
I couldn't breathe. I'm gonna die alone, Carrie.
Who can blame her? A panic attack in the street provides quite the scare.
I felt like I was drowning and dying at the same time.
Sweetie, they said you had a panic attack.
Yeah, and I had to pay $500 of my single-person salary to find that out.
She learns that the previous tenant died in the apartment, and because she was single, no one found her for a week. While the fear of being alone just becomes magnified when she chokes on Chinese takeout. Sex and the City has plenty of charmingly New York brushes with death in the form of aggressive cabs.
That was the peculiar thing about New York. You never knew if a cab was going to save you or kill you.
Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, please.
Or both.
However, watching Miranda have to save herself from choking was uncharacteristically dark. Number 3, Charlotte's date berates her in bed. Are we sluts? Sex and the City didn't shy away from the complications of the dating world.
Why, what happened? You sleep with someone on the second date?
No, it was the 3rd date, and it was Alexander Lemley, the investment banker that I met at the Young Art Collector show.
And what, the sex was bad?
No, it was good, except...
Take Charlotte's dilemma with this kind of funny and also kind of disturbing episode. She meets a guy who's sweet and charming everywhere except the bedroom. In fact, he becomes borderline verbally abusive whenever they become intimate.
That's terrible. That's a horrible thing to say. I had no idea. I just get lost in the moment. I certainly don't think that about you.
The subplot is made all the more uncomfortable by her response, which is not discomfort, but fear that she is exactly what he calls her in bed. If that's true, she reasons that no man will ever want to marry her, and her life may as well end. In typical fashion, Carrie's just jealous that Charlotte's sex life is more active than hers.
This is bad! Nobody wants to marry a...
No, what's bad is that even Charlotte is having more sex than I am.
But still, some concern for her friend would be nice. Number 2, Petrovsky slaps Carrie. An American Girl in Paris, Part 2. Carrie already knew her time with the man she lovingly dubbed the Russian was coming to an end.
I thought we at least had the morning together.
I have to go, huh?
Is this going to be every day?
Oh, Carrie, I'm under so much pressure. Don't make me feel worse than I do, huh?
But their trip to Paris fast-tracked the breakup.
Had a life in New York. I had a job and friends, and I didn't give all of that up to come here and wander the streets of Paris alone.
During a disagreement, Petrovsky throws his hand up and, not realizing how close Carrie was, accidentally strikes her in the face. While it was clearly unintentional, it was still a shocker to see him hit her. The slap was made all the worse by Petrovsky's unwillingness to consider her feelings about their relationship.
Maybe it's time to be clear about who I am. I am someone who is looking for love. Real love.
Ultimately, the whole fiasco became the final push Carrie needed to realize she wanted Big back.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Lexi's fall. Splat. Lexi Featherston only requires 2 things, a cigarette and a little bit of fun. Is that too much to ask? After lamenting how New York just isn't as fun as it used to be, she twists her ankle, loses her balance, and plummets through an open window.
When did everybody stop smoking? When did everybody pair off? This used to be the most exciting city in the world.
Unfortunately, that window is at the top of a high-rise, and Lexi falls to her death several stories below. Equal parts funny and horrifying, her death is the show at its most ironic.
No one's fun anymore. Whatever happened to fun? God, I'm so bored I could die.
Who knew her sarcastic quip about being bored to death would be so literal? She certainly didn't.
You guys, we're supposed to be in mourning.
We are. It's the end of an era.
Yep, the party's officially over.
Which Sex and the City scene made you clutch your pearls? Sound off in the comments.
This is really inappropriate. Yeah, we're eating.
What's wrong with you, Charlotte? You're such a...
What am I, Sydney?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.